Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 1 of the Port Charles Podcast, your place for all things General Hospital. I'm your host, Eric, the GH Guy, and on this episode, I'm going to cover the week in review on GH. I am super pumped because what a week it was. I mean, it just seemed like there was constant drama from Monday through Friday, and I really think that next week is going to be interesting. There's been a lot of things kind of the groundwork is being laid. I really think some of these stories are getting ready to explode in a big way. But let's get right into it. The biggest story, I guess, of the week, I guess it would be more of a dual story, kind of a layered story, 2 in 1, is that Sonny gets shot and he gets left in a pit at the distillery. And he pretty much spent all of our week in that pit, trying to get out, hoping somebody would come by that could help get him out. But the thing of it is how he ended up there. He went to the distillery to pay the ransom for the return of Spencer, who had been kidnapped. He didn't know who had kidnapped him. All he received was a text message to come to the distillery with money and come alone, nobody else. So that's what he did. And it turns out that it was Garvey, the guy that we all thought had been arrested in Puerto Rico. He's back, and he was the one that kidnapped Spencer to try to get back at Sonny. Now, that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense when you think about it, because it's not like Sonny and Spencer are around each other that much. So I don't know where Garvey would kind of get the whole let me kidnap Spencer, because that's a sure ticket into getting back at Sonny. I mean, I don't know. I don't think that's something they're going to explain to us and help us try to make more sense. But, I think that that's just one of those things that kind of came up, was like, how did that part of it make sense? Now, it wasn't Garvey that shot Sonny and left him in the pit, though. It was Sam. Now, Sam's been having these hallucinations, and she's been seeing visions of Sonny in her head, basically telling her that Jason is his. He's always going to belong to him. He's always going to belong to the business. That Sam's never going to be able to basically come first, that Sonny and the business are always going to come first to Jason. So, and we figure out later in the week why she's been having these visions and these hallucinations, but she doesn't know why she's having them. And in her mind, she's got to get rid of Sonny if her and Jason are ever going to be safe and truly have their life out of the business. Because every time she turns around, it looks like Jason's being pulled closer and closer to Sonny and the business. Now, she goes to the distillery. How she knew Sonny was going to be there, I don't know. But she goes to the distillery, finds that Sonny had shot Garvey, and then when Sonny goes to leave, she pulls a gun on Sonny. Now, throughout this whole thing, Sonny's trying to defuse everything. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't understand why Sam's standing there with a gun in her hand, and she ends up shooting him. And when Sonny tries to tell her, like, look, Sam, I know this wasn't you. I know you didn't do this. Sonny knows there's something wrong here. There's something going on that, nobody could figure out what the problem is. But he knows that Sam is not the kind of person that's just going to come up and shoot him because she wants Jason away from the business. Because in Sonny's mind, he's already tried to pull Jason back in many times, and Jason always tells him the same thing. Hey, I'm not getting back into business. I love my wife. I love my kids. I'm doing everything I can to keep them safe, and I'm out. I'm staying out of it. And I think Sonny has accepted that. I mean, I think in a way he'll always try to kind of pull Jason back in, but I think deep down he's accepted the fact that Jason's out. He's not coming back. So the fact that Sam is so adamant about this, that she's willing to pull a gun on him and shoot him, I mean, it's just hard to wrap your mind around if you're in Sonny's shoes. Like, why is this happening? You already know he's not coming back to the business. So she shoots him, she kicks him off into the pit, and then she leaves and goes back home, tells Jason that, hey, it's finally over. We've got our life back. We're safe. He can't hurt us anymore. Everything's good. And Jason's trying to figure out, okay, what just happened? What do you mean we're safe? What did you do, Sam? And then she faints, passes out, and he rushes her off to the hospital. And after doing her labs and her blood work and everything, Finn and Griffin kind of, I guess they're coordinating on this case. And it's Finn that figures out that she suffers from, and I hope I'm getting this right, toxoplasmosis. I believe that's what they said she suffers from. I don't know if that's actually a real thing. If it is, I'm not trying to make light of it, but it kind of sounds like something they just made up. I've never heard of toxoplasmosis. I mean, it sounds kind of cool. It sounds, medically in a way. So, but basically she has a parasite in her brain. And throughout all of this, Jason, I think, kind of puts pieces together and figures out that this happened when Sam was pushed off the embankment by Olivia Jerome, and she gave birth to Scout out there in the cold and the wild and everything else. That was the opportunity when she contracted this disease. Now, of course, they rush Scout to the hospital. They do tests on her, which, by the way, I thought they had agreed right off the bat that her name wasn't going to be Scout, that they had named her Emily. Maybe I missed that. I don't know what happened with that, but everybody calls her Scout. So I don't know if that's just something they just dropped and they didn't go through with it or what the deal is, but I could have swore that Jason was like, no, we're not calling her Scout. We'll name her Emily, and But I digress. So Sam was out in the cold. She developed this parasite. They do the test on Scout. She comes back clean. She comes back negative. Everything's good. So that's one less worry for Jason. Now, his wife is still in a coma, and he doesn't know if she's ever going to come out of it. And he also doesn't know that she shot Sonny. So how's he going to react when he finds this out? And how's Carly going to react when she finds this out? I brought this up on Twitter the other day that I wonder, will Carly ever be able to forgive or trust Sam again after finding out that she shot Sonny? Now, it's easy to say, well, Carly she'll realize that it was the disease, it was the parasite, it was the illness, it really wasn't Sam, so it's all good. But that's not really Carly's personality. That's not really her character, to be so quickly forgiving and trusting, especially when you put a bullet in her husband. So I almost kind of wonder what's going to happen between these two women, excuse me, these two women going forward once Carly realizes that Sam was the one who shot Sonny. I think this will be interesting to see how they go with this, or if she'll just chalk it up and say, hey, it was the parasite, it was it was the disease, the illness, whatever, and I forgive Sam. I know it wasn't her. I know it wasn't her that did it. Sonny's going to forgive her. I mean, he knows this isn't Sam, but Carly's not as forgiving when it comes to her family and the people she loves. So it'll be interesting to see that. Now, here's something else I thought of, and I think this would be a really kind of a neat direction to go in with this. And think about the parallels here. Because Sam has always given Franco grief about the fact that he did all these awful things while he had a brain tumor, and she has always said that's no excuse. Stop blaming the tumor. It was not the tumor. You did it. Own up to it, and stop blaming some disease or illness. Now the shoe's on the other foot with Sam. Now, how are people going to treat her when she's in the same boat that she put Franco in? Because here's something Sam would have never done had she been of sound mind and body. She would have never just gone off and shot Sonny. It was the parasite in the brain. It was the illness in the brain that caused her to do this. Just like it was with Franco. So I would like to see the writers kind of even slightly make a little nod to this. Like at some point in the future, maybe Sam and Franco reach that more of an understanding with each other. Like, okay, I get it now. I understand. I'm sorry I was so harsh on you. You're right. You haven't done anything bad since this tumor has been taken out. And now I've been in that boat. I've been in your shoes. So hopefully this will lead to Sam kind of not necessarily letting her guard down with Franco, but being a little bit more understanding, and less harsh and judgmental towards Franco, because it apparently, I mean, and according to the storyline, it wasn't Franco's fault. It was the tumor in the brain that caused him to do all the bad stuff he did, and that's exactly what happened to Sam. I mean, different things. She didn't have a tumor; she had a parasite, but you get what I'm saying. There's some paralleling similarities there, and I think it would be kind of neat if the writers at least acknowledge that in a way, because if I thought about it, I'm sure there's others, some of you out there may have had the same thought. So I'd like to see them try to, they don't need to go in a long direction with this, but just give a little nod, kind of let us know that, hey, we get the irony of the situation. We get the similarities and the paralleling here with this story with Sam. Now, Garvey, after being shot by Sonny, he got shot by Sonny, and the last we saw Garvey, he had gone to General Hospital to get treatment, and he grabbed Elizabeth in the parking garage. Now, is it just me, or does Elizabeth just seem to be a magnet for danger? I mean, am I wrong here? I mean, in 20 years, this girl has been in more dangerous situations than anybody I could ever imagine. It seems like every time she's turning around, she's in some dangerous situation, where her life is at stake or whatever. I mean, it's like, my God, you would think at some point it's time to pack up and leave Port Charles and get the heck out of Dodge. But, this girl is just a danger magnet, and I love Elizabeth. I love Elizabeth Weber. But, man, I feel so bad for this girl. I mean, something bad always happens to her. Her life is always in danger. So Garvey grabs her. Luckily, before he could take her back into the hospital to get medical treatment, Carly shows up, recognizes Garvey, and she actually acts like she's going to go into the hospital to get the medical equipment, but instead kind of goes around the pillar in the parking garage and attacks Garvey. Tells Elizabeth to run and get help, and she stays there and kind of basically literally leans on Garvey the entire time. She wants to know where Sonny is. And, of course, Garvey's going to play this up. He knows that Sam shot him. So, and he knows that he didn't shoot him. But he's going to take credit for killing Sonny if he can. So that's kind of what he's leading Carly to believe right now, is that he shot Sonny. Sonny's dead. So you're not going to find Sonny, but yet there's no body. Carly still needs a body before she's really going to believe it. So, as we saw at the end of Friday's episode, kind of give, at the very end where they tell you on the next General Hospital, we see that Garvey's in the hospital, he's getting treatment, but Carly's still trying to get the information out of him. Where's Sonny? What happened? Where can I find him? And I wonder if Garvey's going to give him up. I have a feeling he's not. I get this feeling that no matter what happens, Garvey's going to stick to the story that he shot and killed Sonny, and that's it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in that direction. Speaking of Carly, she finally got to meet her daughter's boyfriend this week, and she liked him. She likes Oscar, and she has given Jocelyn her blessing to continue seeing him. I think I'm not sure if this was the direction they were going to go in with Oscar before they recast him, but because it just seemed almost like, okay, we're going to start off where she's attracted to this bad boy who drinks and parties and does all this stuff. And then when they did the recast, they kind of did a complete 180 on Oscar, where he's just this kind kid and, he made a mistake, but he's really this sweetheart underneath all of it. And, he's harmless now. So I'm glad Carly kind of addressed the whole drinking thing and partying thing and all of that. And I think, that's over. We just need to move on. And I'm not sure where they're going with this. I'm not sure what the end game is for Oscar and Jocelyn. As you know, in TV, nothing is ever good for very long. There has to be something bad happens. And I don't really see the character of Oscar being a long-term character on the show. I think he's a temporary character. So it's going to be interesting to see what direction they go with that. At this point, I can't even speculate, and I really don't have any idea where I would go with it. Again, I know that something bad is going to happen down the line. Not necessarily to Jocelyn, but maybe to Oscar. I mean, there's some mystery about who his mom is, and I don't know if they're, I'm sure they're going to address that at some point. But, right now it's just, to borrow a line from my daughter's favorite movie, Trolls, everything's all cupcakes and rainbows right now between Oscar and Jocelyn. And we know that in television and soap operas and on General Hospital, nothing is ever cupcakes and rainbows for very long. So Oscar gets the okay. Carly's cool with it, but Jocelyn's still grounded, so she knows she's got to kind of walk that fine line for now. And we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen between these two kids as the future goes on. They've always kind of done these kid-oriented and teen-oriented storylines over the summer. So I think that's kind of what this is. This is going to be one of those, teenage storyline, summertime storylines that they usually do over the summers. Something I got to talk about, and because I was so excited to hear that she was coming back. Finally, my favorite, the person I absolutely just love and adore, Maxie, was coming back. Maxie's back. She made an appearance, and she's gone again. Yeah. As quickly as she came into our lives, she exited our lives just as quickly. And I'm sad. I love Maxie. I'm a huge Kirsten Storms fan. I love Kirsten Storms. And I was so thrilled to see that she would be back. And apparently, I'm not the only one upset about this. Because from what I see online, there are a lot of pissed off people about the fact of why would you bring her back for like one episode and then she goes away again. And this just doesn't make sense. Like, this whole storyline with her and Nathan makes no sense whatsoever. With certain things, you can suspend your disbelief. You can put yourself in the character's shoes. How would you respond? How would you react in a certain situation if you were put in it? And I just don't know too many people that would have said, okay, my wife's going to move to Portland and go work out there, and I'm going to stay here. I mean, things just don't work that way in real life. I mean, Nathan's going to pack up and move and go join the Portland Police Department, or Maxie's going to stay in Port Charles and do what she can there because, I mean, she had a great job working for Crimson. I mean, it's not like the opportunities I can imagine were that much better in Portland. And granted, I know it gets her closer to her daughter. It gets her closer to Georgie, and she can see her more and things like that. But correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't she have like a 6-month thing where she was kind of on this like probation, and then after 6 months, if everything was cool, she got to, have custody of her daughter, or, at least visitation or whatnot. And I'm pretty sure that 6 months is long past everybody. So I just don't understand it. And, they need to bring Maxie back. They need to bring Kirsten back. I love Kirsten Storms. I look forward to every time she's on. And apparently, like I said, a lot of people are not happy about the fact that they brought her back for like one show and then she was right back out the door again. So, I mean, she came in long enough to tell Nathan, hey, I read Man Landers, which, I've grown very tired very quickly of that Man Landers story. And I love the character of Amy. And I love Rissa Dorkin. I think she's a phenomenal person. She's a really good actress. And a lot of people don't like the Amy character, but I love it. I think it's refreshing. I think it's something that the show very much needs. But this whole Man Lander storyline, it just doesn't appeal to me. And then out of the woodworks, it's like, okay, Maxie reads it. And then all of a sudden, here's Mac, who's probably in his 50s, telling Nathan in confidence, oh, don't tell anybody, but I read Man Landers and I'm taking his advice and all this other stuff. And it's like, really, Mac? I mean, you've been married to Felicia for how long? And you're reading an advice column on, how to be romantic or how to spice up things in the bedroom. It's like, come on, man. I mean, this storyline's got to find an end, and it's got to find one real quick. I mean, I've already kind of tuned out of it, and I mean, we all know that Nathan's going to get exposed at some point. It's just a matter of who's going to expose him. Who's going to find out? Is it going to be Maxie that finds out? Is it going to be Mac that finds out? I mean, the more people that tune into Man Landers, it increases the odds that somebody's going to find out who's the man behind Man Landers. So they need to bring Maxie back, get Kirsten back. I want Kirsten Storms back. Of course, I'm greedy and I'm selfish. I want her on the show every day. I realize I can't always have what I want, but I'd love to see Maxie and Kirsten as much as possible. Now, the final thing of the week, and this really kind of just started, and I don't know where they're going with it, and to be honest, I really don't care, is that Olbrich is trying to strike a deal with Hayden's ex to get revenge for, Finn and her getting her fired from GH. 30 seconds into this storyline starting, I've already lost interest. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. And most things that tend to do with Olbrich, they kind of bore me a bit. I mean, I love the character and I love the actress. I think she's phenomenal and does an amazing job. I don't think the writing is there for her. And, she's just not given the right material to really kind of sink her teeth into and be able to pull that audience in, So we'll see. I mean, I don't really have a lot of optimism for this storyline, and we'll see how it goes. So that's pretty much the week. If I missed anything, I apologize. I tried to make my notes as detailed as possible and just kind of cover the important things that happen. What's going to happen with Sonny? What's going to happen with Sam? What's going to happen with Jason? Is Olbrich going to be able to get her revenge against Finn and Hayden? What's going to happen with Carly, Garvey, all that. We'll find out, I'm pretty sure, this coming week, where we're going to kind of be going with some of these storylines. At least I hope we do. I hope this doesn't need to drag out another week. We need to start seeing some light at the end of the tunnel this week if they want to keep the viewers engaged and kind of, pulled into the stories. So we'll see. So there you have it. Our latest week in review. There's a lot of potential for the coming week. I mean, will Sam survive her illness? Will Sonny get out of the pit he's trapped in? Will Carly be able to forgive or trust Sam for shooting him, regardless of the injury? The illness, I'm sorry, regardless of the illness. If Sam does survive, is this kind of more of a quiet bonding point between her and Franco? I mean, again, like I said, I think that's something that I'd really like the writers to touch on just a little bit. Like I said, just give us a little wink and a nod from time to time that you realize and you pick up on some of these common sense parallels that the rest of us at home are seeing and noticing. So that's it. That's our week in review. I want to thank all of you for spending a little time with me today and listening. If you have any feedback, any comments, suggestions, questions, please feel free to email them to me at PortCharlesPodcast@gmail.com, or if you prefer, you can find me on Twitter at TheGHGuy. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button and write a review if you have time. I would greatly appreciate it, and it would help me out a lot in getting this podcast out to more great GH fans. It really does give me a boost. The more you subscribe, the more you listen, the more reviews that you write. It'll help this show get more exposure, bring in more fans, and we can develop this community together, because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to connect with this great fan base. I mean, General Hospital has such a great fan base. I mean, I see it online. I see it, at when I see pictures of the conventions and everything. I mean, granted, the conventions are usually always on the West Coast, and they never come to big market cities like Houston. Hint, hint. But I see it all the time. I mean, this is such a great fan base. Like, I love interacting with the General Hospital fans. Like, and I love surprising people, that don't think that a guy can have much insight and, can have great opinions and be able to, say, hey, this is where I would take this storyline and this is what I would do with this character and blah, blah, blah. But, I'm able to do that on a lot of storylines. So I like surprising people. I love interacting with all the GH fans out there. And again, I would really appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button, share the podcast, tweet it out, Facebook it out, tell your friends if they watch General Hospital, to tune into this show. We're going to build a community here, people. We're going to connect. We're going to, we're all a part of the GH family. This is about coming together, enjoying this great show together, talking about it, giving our opinions, our suggestions, our gripes and complaints, about this character or that storyline or whatever. I mean, that's what we're here for. So please hit the subscribe button. Please, if you have time, write a review. Again, that would give me so much more exposure for this show, and help build this community that we're trying to build here. So again, thank you so much for listening and tuning into the podcast, and I'll be back next time. So until next time, I am the GH Guy, and this has been the Port Charles Podcast.